Welcome to the second video on Windward mark roundings. In this video, we're going to look at some strategies to use in the presence of other boats. At the top mark, all of the boats come together, and so in a large fleet, it can get quite congested, and there are large areas of dirty air that need to be avoided. Let's start by talking about the port ley line approach. Let's look at some of the challenges of this approach. The first is getting clear air. If the next leg is a reach, or there is an offset mark, then the port ley line near the mark will have a lot of dirty air from boats sailing on the next leg, and it will be quite difficult to sail there. You can only really make this approach if you're near the front, or if there's a gap ahead to the next group of boats to give you some clear air. If the next leg is downwind, then you not only have dirty air to contend with, but also the boats ahead represent a collision risk. Boats will generally round the mark on starboard tack and won't jibe immediately unless the course isn't square. So boats coming downwind will have right of way over you. Any boats that do jibe, you will have right of way because you are the port tack boat and the leeward boat. In any case, if you're not near the front, this can be a tricky situation as well. When approaching on the port ley line, you have reduced rights if you tack within 3 boat-length circle around the mark. The rules around this are a little complicated and will be covered in a different video, but in summary, if you tack in the zone, you may not be entitled to mark room. Generally, you'll want to tack onto the starboard line more than 3 boat lengths away from the mark. The final thing that makes the port ley line approach challenging is finding a spot on the starboard ley line. If you come to the mark too late, you may have to backtrack to find a hole, or things might just get a little hairy. When you're coming up to the starboard ley line, scope out the situation well in advance and project forward in your head to get an idea of what it will look like when you arrive on the line. The next question is, should you tack below a boat on the line or pass behind her and tack above? First of all, for you to be able to tack below, the other boat must have sailed past the line. That's how I've drawn this example, but often this is not the case. So if you're planning to tack below, you should be sure that you can make the mark. Being further down on the line is also an area that has a lot of dirty air, so it will be difficult to sail in this area, and especially to point. If you get stuck in dirty air, it can be very difficult to get out because you may not have room to tack, and boats will keep sailing over you. So generally, I recommend sailing behind the other boat and tacking above her in clear air. You'll sail a little extra distance, but compared to sailing in dirty air, you'll come out well ahead. In sailing, it generally pays to be more conservative. You're making a small loss on the extra distance versus a large potential loss if you get stuck in dirty air or foul another boat. You have to give up a little because you made a late approach, and hopefully you found something on the course that allowed you to make some gains. This is also a good spot to protect yourself from being put in a leave-out position because you have what I call a blocker. You've given yourself enough room to the boat ahead and to leeward so that you are already in a leave-out position. Any boat that passes behind her, that boat will also have to pass behind you. She can't tack below you because she would put herself in dirty air behind your sail. No boat can tack on your lee bow, and the blocker is prevented from tacking because that would result in an immediate collision. If you're on starboard tack and you see a boat on a course to pass behind you, it's important to realize the limitations you'll soon have. If you aren't 100% sure that you'll make the mark, then you must tack immediately as she passes behind you. Once you've tacked, the other boat is unable to tack without causing a collision, so she must wait for you to tack before she can. This allows you to reposition on the line. If you were to allow her to pass behind you, then you wouldn't be able to tack, and you would have difficulty getting around the mark. As you approach on the starboard ley line, it is important to monitor all of the boats below and try and figure out what they will do so that you can maintain clear air. Will they pass behind boats ahead, go more to windward and have you in their wind shadow? Or have the boats ahead already left enough room so that few boats can fit into leeward? Or maybe there are no holes, so they'll most likely tack to leeward regardless of the space and maybe try to pinch you up. If there are boats that are at risk of tacking in front of you and giving you dirty air, make sure to keep your options open. Don't let anyone get onto your windward hip until you are sure that you won't need any more tacks. You want to sail the minimum distance past the ley line that will allow you to get to the mark in clean air. Remember, you are in clean air if you are about a boat length behind the closest boat ahead and above your center line. A boat that is within 1 meter or 3 feet to leeward and just ahead of you will also give you dirty air. I hope these tips are helpful for your sailing. If you've got any more tips, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos.